SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. The wait is over.
Let's get this thing started.
Go! Yeah! Yeah! Ha-ha! Shot! Yeah, stop!
Hello, everyone. We are live for episode 95 of the In or Out Sports Debate. I am your host, Drew Willingham, rocking the Lance NOYU shirt. Shout out to my man who's rocking and rolling in Japan right now. I had to give a shout to him real quick in this intro. But we are here for episode 95, and I have got one great panel tonight for episode 95 as we approach 100. First, have to introduce the current five-time Vault of Fame inductee. He is the former Mr. Rollback for Walmart Supercenters. The man we know as D.O., the man who is the heart and soul behind the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and the guy who helped jumpstart and propel me into what I'm doing today. Give it up for my man, my mentor, and most importantly, a friend of mine, Mr. Darrell Owens.
What's up, brother? Hey, look, man. Hey, look, thanks for having me on. And it's good to be a five-time member of the Vault of Fame. I'm so glad to be here with you, brother. So glad to be here.
Had to throw you some applause right there. Had to throw you some applause for that because you made it here. We are here for 95, and we got one other person here with us as we have a trios edition for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, picking up where I left off with the introductions, the man who is behind the student of the game, contributor for the three-point conversion, as well as A7BN Sports. There are some great articles as well for the Black and Gold Banneret. Another man who's a mentor to me as well as another friend. Give it up for the man, myth, and legend, Kyle Nash. Welcome back to the show, brother.
An honor, joy, and privilege, gentlemen. First of all, there's a reason why they call him D.O. What it do, Darrell Owens. What can I say?
That's the first time I heard the what it do, but I'll take it.
What can I say except you're welcome? And then, of course, as always, In or Out Sports Debate. Is the winner Drew? Is the winner the guests? I don't know that part. All I know is the real winner is America. Plus
And as we cross over outside of the United States, because Sick Dicky is outside of the United States, probably watching right now, so I have to give a shout out to him as well. We are branching out a little bit outside the U.S. thanks to Snowman in the Morning and Snowman Multimedia. But guys, today we are here. This part of a show that's brought to you by
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Before we get started, there's one thing that we have to do before we go into the first round, and that is this.
Acknowledge me.
man, you took me back. This is why this show was so important, and this is why I am personally validating and vouching for this show. If you are anybody in media, sports, professional wrestling, anything, you need to be on In or Out Sports Debate with my man Drew Willingham, because this has got to be one of the most fun things I've ever done in a long time.
Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is the In or Out Sports Debate Vault of Fame, which you can find here on the audio platforms listed here, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the new YouTube channel where the struggle is real to be awesome. You can find it at SIRTOBA.com, and I'm going to let Darrell announce this one.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. $sign DWillie87. Go ahead, hit him up on the Cash App, and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. How some Willie Bucks?
I had to just let him have that one. As we are here for episode 95 of the In or Out Sports Debate. Guys, before we get started, there's one last thing to get us ready.
Let's get ready to rumble! Round one.
And here for round one, LeBron James should have retired during his ESPY's speech. How do you feel about this one? We'll start with you, Kyle Nash. Tell him, are you in or are you out on this one?
Hey, listen, call the Baja, man. I am their dogs. I am out. Listen, we all would like an adorable, outgoing speech at the end ESPYs, and let's be honest, what he did there was somewhat cringe. At least that's what everybody tells me. I watch sports, not sports award shows, other than the NFL honors. Whole other question. The punchline is this, ladies and gentlemen. If his plan is to try to play with Bronny, how the heck could he retire? And we've had this conversation, Drew Willingham. Maybe an element of that might be out of his hands. Really, at the end of the day, I think this was another excuse to put another crying LeBron emoji on the hype. So yeah, I don't really have a problem with him staying around and try to do the thing. So of course, if he wasn't, if you saw anything else, Drew Willingham, I can't tell you. And listen, melt the snow, man, and I don't know. Is that melted snow or that tears at the fact that he's still playing? I don't know. Give the man a hug either way. Shouts to the sports senseis.
How about you, Darrell? Are you going to side with Kyle on this one? Or are you out on this as well?
First of all, I petition to be the official Willie Bucks voice. Let's get it out of the way first. Secondly, I am going to say that I am out on this. Hey, look, man, look. I still feel like the King still has some unfinished business. He has grown and grown and grown and grown. Obviously, 20 plus years in the game. This is how long it's been. I mean, I'm 15 days older than LeBron. He graduated. He went to the NBA the year I graduated high school. And look, if the man feels like he can still go, by all means. But I still feel like LeBron's looking for that fairy tale ending. And I don't think he's going anywhere until he gets it or something close to it. And if not that, at least that chance to play with his son. Let's just look at it like this. Whoever is smart is more likely to be like, all right, let me drive Bronny. Don't matter where he is. Don't matter where you may say he is. If your plan is to bring Bronny in, get LeBron, there's your strategy. I mean, it's out there. So, but I'm out on it. I think he's still got a little bit more work to do. He still was playing, good basketball last year. And the way this Lakers team is built in the offseason, they had a phenomenal offseason. You don't want to take away from that. They brought in the right pieces to make that puzzle work there in LA. So let's see one more run, at least one more, I would say. See how it goes from there.
Before I have a meltdown, let me get some of these comments from the start out of the way. And Ike is here, says, "Let's go, mother fathers." He is in there saying that we've got a star-studded cast. Well, thank you, Ike, for starting off with the right comments tonight there, sir. Mickey Delaney is here and says, "Let's go." Thanks for coming on in there, Mick. Sick is also here, so my prediction was right. It says this is about to get painful. Please elaborate. Let me know how you feel it's going to get painful. Mickey says, "Hi, Darrell Owens." Hi, and pretty much says hi to all of us. We're
Hey,
doing
Mick.
great.
How you doing, Mickey?
Thank you, Mick, for the shout out. We appreciate it. Ike even says, "What's up, Sick?" And Sick just says, "Hi." My thoughts on the SB speech. Who cares? Well, I'm about to let you know why, because it's my turn. Absolutely. And hey, even though I just want to be out, I mean, even though I want to be in, I have to go out. I think all the my journalistic integrity would go out the window if I was in on this one right here. But even though that I side with my guys here and say that I'm out, I do have to borrow this from Snowman in the Morning and say that I have this.
In a world where partial greatness is celebrated and total greatness is shunned, there stands to be a figure on the lips of those who love him and those who hate him. The inane comparisons to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant continue and has existed since 2003. There is no end in sight, for the battle between those who unconditionally love and unconditionally hate him wages on. These are their stories. Welcome to the Bronzexual Confessions.
Oh, yeah. I've got a bronzexual confession, and here it is. Something did happen at the ESPYs that should not have happened, and you know what that is? The biggest bronzexual of them all opening their mouth right there on stage, and that's his wife, Savannah, saying that, oh, the GOAT's about to walk up here. The GOAT's coming on the stage right now. He is not the GOAT, okay? I may agree with you guys here and say that I'm out. However, it is blasphemous to mention this man as the GOAT, especially while he's still playing. If he's not going to retire as one of the best top 10 players, I'll give you that. If he's not going to retire as one of the best top 10 players of all time on the ESPY stage, I'm never going to even talk about him as the GOAT, because it would have been a great way to go out to retire on the stage at the ESPYs. Now, you do have a little bit left to give, and you're going to try to play with your son. But I'm sorry, your son sucks, and you're not going to play with him. So when you say it straight up as it is, he's not going to get there with you unless he goes to the G League, and you have to pull your little LeBron strings to bring him on up, because you can't flop on the ground anymore because they're changing the flop rule. So your floppiness, the whole floppy LeBron from 2011, that video game that came out for the iOS and Android, you remember that? Flappy Birds? Well, there's a floppy LeBron game that came out that time too. Now you cannot flop anymore because of what's going on with the rule changes. And you're not going to be able to flop your son on up to the big time to play with you either. So stop calling yourself the GOAT. Stop dragging it through the mud, because if you're the greatest of all time, you wouldn't even talk about it. That's my point when it comes to this person right here.
I mean, so first of all, I want to say this is not predicted, and honestly, I didn't even see you going it this far out of left field. I mean, we are going to talk baseball later tonight, so maybe that makes sense. But I don't mean to make this show political, but if that's a bronzexual confession, does that mean you and the sports senseis are bronophobes? Is that a thing?
Hey, that's the funniest thing I've heard all day.
I like that.
Come on, Kyle. Hey, look. Hey, but I will say this though, I mean, what do you expect his wife to say, Drew? I mean, it's his wife. I mean, his wife gonna call him to go. We may not believe that. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, his wife. Now, the best part of that speech was his daughter. I think the little moment his daughter had was probably the best part of all of that feng shui that was going on there. But yeah, but that's hilarious.
Now, if you want to say the GOAT of all husbands or something, you could say that. But when it comes to the game of basketball, get out of here, man. Get out of here.
Same energy when Giselle defended Brady after he missed that pass to Welker and lost the Super Bowl, and she lost her mind in the elevator with the fans. I hope you kept that same energy. Just throwing that out there.
But I bet you nowadays she's saying that.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
She doesn't have to defend him anymore.
That's right.
Guys, let's see what else we got in the comments. Sick is okay. The In or Out Sports Debate is brought to you by Sleazy Meaty Subs. Don't toss a salad. Don't beat the meat. Just enjoy the subs. Sleazy Meaty Subs. Thank you.
That's good life advice, really.
And cola water. The only time you should be drinking water that tastes like cola, plain and simple. The unhinged tirades of Drew Willingham are brought to you by Sick Diggy's Exotic Dancers Studio. Only that not to believe is the hype.
Oh,
wow. Well, that was great, Sick. And don't forget to hit the like button, folks. Absolutely. This man is killing it in the comments. Thank you.
Wait a minute.
Whoop, whoop.
Hey, where's this dance studio at? Because I got bad knees, man. But I mean, I'm just saying, like,
throw us the coordinates in the chat there, Sick. You can send it in a private chat. Let us know. But Joseph Raymond
hey, what's
is
up, Joe?
Also here. We miss y'all too, man. Have a safe trip back. Your vacation is almost over. Joseph has had some rocky roads throughout that vacation, but that's neither here nor there for this debate or whatnot. But I'm glad that he's almost back and making it back there soon. Keep the comments flowing, you guys, as we are going to go into round 2 and see what we got in store for that one.
Round 2.
It's time for some baseball action. Elly De La Cruz should have been voted on to the NL All-Star team regardless of only playing in 30 games this season prior to the break. How do you feel about this one, Darrell? We'll start this one off with you. Do you agree with the statement at hand? Are you in or are you out on this one?
You know, you would think this one would be hard to kind of do, but I am out on him being voted to the All-Star team. Out. Look, I understand the hype. You can get energetic about a player, and you see this guy come in. He brought a spark plug to the Cincinnati Reds team, and he's bringing an energy like no other. Okay, and that's a great thing for Cincinnati. Cincinnati's playing great baseball right now, and it's good to see one of the greatest franchises in MLB doing really, really well. But De La Cruz, to me, there's 3 months leading up to the All-Star game. Okay. And I think they vote maybe like 3 or 4 weeks out before the vote is official. For me, it would have been hard for the people that have been playing all season long to not get that nod over him. Now, if this was a case where it was like, let's say it was Derek Jeter, he was retiring and maybe he wasn't playing the best ball, his best baseball, but you're bringing him in there because you want to, give honor to Derek Jeter or whoever that player is that's been in the game so long. That's different. Now, I understand it because it would have brought excitement. He's up and coming, and he's going to be great. And I feel like he's going to be probably in the All-Star game next year and for years to come. But I don't want him to take away from a person that has played all 3 months. And I don't think that he deserved to get that spot, even though he's been electrifying. I mean, absolutely amazing for the game.
He absolutely has been. Kyle, do you agree with him? Are you out on this, or do you disagree? Are you in?
I mean, for me, it's like love with the band Air Supply. I am out. Now, I get it. De La Cruz pumped everybody up. I hear you over there, Darrell. I get everybody's pumped up, going on with what De La Cruz was doing so far. And listen, I'm not a baseball guy, but here's my whole thing. The unfortunate thing is he didn't get enough votes. I'm not going to compel fans to cheer for a guy who's played a third of the games that guys participating had the potential to going into it. And I know Darrell brought up the point that the voting was locked in 3 weeks ago. There's 162 games. He played less than a quarter of the season because Matt. But Kyle, didn't the NBA let Jeremy Lin in? Don't come in.
Linsanity, I forgot about that.
Hey, listen, by the way, you know what happens when you're really sick and you still want to watch basketball? That's linfluenza. Hey, what happens when you got a really young kid who's doing really well and you want to drag him and force him into an all-star game because the fans want him? That's lintimidation. These are things that happen. I understand that. Thank you for setting me up for using all the dad jokes with your curiosity on this show, gentlemen. But the punchline is this. At the end of the day, if there's more crying LeBron emojis in Drew's promos than there are on your vote list, I have no sympathy for you.
That's great.
However,
that's great. That's great.
The part that I think this does set up is in a proper format. The All-Star game does get him voted in. Listen, interleague play is commonplace now. Why is the MLB All-Star game still American versus national? If you're trying to appeal to the people at large, what happened? And we're already, by the way, trying to build up the World Baseball Classic. Why do we not do it like hockey with U.S. versus the world? I don't know. And in that case, maybe De La Cruz gets in. Maybe that's something we can make happen. I don't know about all that. Me talking about baseball getting younger. I know. Bottom line, amazing stuff to try to think about. But no, overall, listen, I get that he's trying to be. Maybe if he had 40 games, we could have the conversation. But no, not with 30.
We can't agree on everything, and it has to get to a point to where I got to be the lone wolf. I'm just going to have to do it. I'm in. This one's for you fans when it comes to the entertainment. It's about to be on the other side of this one. But when it comes to the current, before I even get to that point, let me just explain a little bit of how the All-Star voting part works. After a 25-day primary round, the top 3 vote getters at each position, top 9 in the outfield per league, advance in the starters election. At that point, the vote totals are reset, and the fans have a 28-hour period to vote on the starters of the list of the finalists at each position. So when you think of the 25-day preliminary or whatnot, that's like within the 4 to 5 day window of when Elly De La Cruz started in the MLB. And even though he did have a hot start to his comeuppance into the MLB, he wasn't like, at the top of the vote getters or anything within his first 4 or 5 days into the league. So he didn't have enough time to really let everyone know who he was and establish his name to everyone. Now, I have to give a shout out to Rob Johnson of the Legacy Maker Sports Network, because Rob has been hyping up Elly De La Cruz ever since he was in the minor leagues. And I got to give a big shout out to him with that, because he is probably the first person that I heard really talking about this guy, other than like nobody, even ESPN or the higher networks, or even the ones that are like our sister networks, like we're talking about this guy. But Rob was. So I got to give a huge shout out to him. When it comes to this. So that's how I basically started learning about these guys. I'm going in, though, on the simple fact of, if you're going to have a veterans pick, like, how Miguel Cabrera and like Albert Pujols before, and like other ones who are pretty much at the tail end of their career, if they're going to get a veterans pick and you're going to allow that person to come in there, I think there should be a rookie pick established within the roster, because what's it to add one extra person per league, the NL or the AL, in order to actually get this established to where we should have actual correction of this? Because when you got a guy that comes up there, is only there for 30 days going into this, and he has had very little time to establish himself, but still within 30 days or 30 games, I would say he was there a little bit more than 30 days, probably about 45 within days off. When you have 30 games to establish your name and you haven't quite gotten there yet, I think that that's a blasphemous call when you have a guy named Mike Williams, who I believe it was 2002, was a closing pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was like 3rd in the entire NL in saves, but the man had like a 5 ERA and was one of the closers for the NL All-Star team in 2002. So you want to tell me that you've got your voting situation all set up correctly? No. Elly De La Cruz has been a hot bat ever since he came into this league and deserved the chance to be on that team. Now, with the current voting rules and the whole preliminary BS, we didn't get him in there. But I feel like we would have had a really good opportunity to see what this kid can do against some of the greats of the game currently today, had they let him in. And I got to disagree, because we can't agree with every single thing. So I had to be that lone wolf to disagree this time.
Hey, and maybe this time when you disagree with me on baseball, you'll actually get it right, Pujols? That's a throwback to our first show together, by the way, gentlemen. That's Darrell's fault.
Dang, bro. He
When
put
it
it on
comes
a
to that
rabbit.
for Kyle, I gotta
Acknowledge me.
acknowledge him. I gotta give him straight up shouts for that. He called me out of it. I'm not gonna back down from it.
Hey,
I'm
look.
gonna go run in the corner and hide, Kyle Nash. You got it wrong.
Hell to the no. To the no, 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 no. Hell no. To the no.
Now, I will agree with you on this, Drew. It would have been nice to see him kind of be out there with the great talent, to see how. I'm not gonna lie, for a fan perspective, it would have been great. I just personally, I'm like, I don't know if I could feel good about the guys who've been, grinding the whole season, or at least majority of the season. But I mean, yes, if he would have got in there, I mean, we all would have loved that. Would have loved every bit of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It would be nice that, other than replay, that the MLB give the fans something they want that are under the age of 57,000.
Absolutely. Let's see what the fans got to say about this. As we've got an absolute panel of comments now. We got Ryan McCarthy saying, Drew, Al, and Darrell. What's up there, Ryan McCarthy?
How you doing, Ryan?
Of the Belly Up Sports Network. 6 says the dance studio is up in Norway with branches in Finland, Denmark, and Iceland. Apparently, it's illegal in Sweden.
Man, what type of dancing they got going? All right, you know what? I'm gonna leave that alone.
Hey, Sick is multi-diversitional. He lives in Norway.
All I know is that we learned today that Dio prefers blondes. Shall we move on?
If Kyle Nash is out like Air Supply, would he be in like Starship?
There he is. There he is. I like it. I like it.
Sick is fired up. I got Corey Mann's loving it. Shout out to Corey Mann, who was here last week for episode 94. Gotta give a shout out to my man, Corey Mann. Ryan McCarthy, that's only in Sweden where it's illegal, says Sick. Kyle is going in laughing emojis. The anti-Jeremy Lin are called Lin Fidels.
That's great. Lin Fidels. That is amazing. Thank you, Ryan. Add to the greatness, Ryan. Add to the greatness. That's great.
Shout out to David 3000 Network that just hit 1,000 subscribers a little while back on YouTube. Shout out to my guy right there. Really at Sick Diggy, even with all those beautiful blondes roaming that country, says Ryan.
Ryan signs off with Dio. There you go.
Your show is Monday nights, right? Well, David 3000. My show is kind of whenever I mother, father, and feel like it. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate you. Love you and thank you for being here. The All-Star game has to change. Hell, Major League Baseball has to change or become the next circuit city. Toys R Us. Triple H said it's best evolution, adapt, or perish. It should be a wild card pick each All-Star game. I like that.
I can deal with that. I mean,
I feel a certain irony that Mr. Rollback is present, representing at one point the company that helped put Circuit City out of business. Salute.
Hey, man, look, don't. Hey, man, like, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Drew worked for Best Buy at one point.
I did.
I'm pretty sure they helped put him out of business, too. Don't put that all on me.
I did. And now look at what's happening to Best Buy. If you've heard the recent news or whatnot, we got people getting laid off. I got a guy that I worked with who was there for like 25 years. It was like a mentor to me in that part and just got laid off last week.
Man, that's insane, man. Best Buy, man, that's crazy.
Luckily, he had an ace in the hole, and I'm not gonna give his name out or anything, but he's got some greener pastures, and they're giving him a pretty good severance package for the time he was there. But had I not made the moves that I did earlier this year, I really feel like I would have been part of that chopping block, because what they're doing is cutting people who are at pay cap, and I was at pay cap in my position because I've been there for as long as I was. So I've, with everything that's going on with, all jokes aside, it's kind of karma for them, to be going down like the way they are after some of the moves they were making. And I don't want to completely bash or throw shade on a former employer. That's not my style or whatnot. But all I can say is the decisions that have been made or made for me throughout this year have been in my benefit, except for one health issue. But other than that, I'm on the other side of that. Everything's good. But things are happening for a reason. And when it comes to that place, when it comes to Best Buy, all I can say is I still care about the people that are there. And I hope that you go on to your best move, because that is not your final destination out there in these streets. Corey Mann says NFL and NBA has made that the fans get what they want during Pro Bowl and All-Star game, and they are light years ahead of the MLB because of their changes. No, you're right. More so NFL when it comes to that for their selection process than NBA, I feel like. But NBA is on a better track than MLB, in my opinion.
I'm going to beat Andrew to this one. It's the NHL that has the All-Star games more correct than everybody else. In my opinion, in major sport right now, they have the skills competitions first. They did the versus the world concept, I believe, first among the major sports. You follow that template if you can. That's a win for the world.
Absolutely. The snowman is in the house saying, hey, snowman, welcome to the party, my man. Laughing my mother, father, and arse off. You are welcome for the LA night idea. Yeah, he did give me that idea last week, because when the Canes talking about that.
Yeah.
Let me
talk to you.
Let me talk to you. That's what I was waiting for.
Hey, guys, keep those comments rolling. We'll keep bringing them throughout the show. We got to head into a commercial break before we keep going. And other than that, we'll see you back here in about 115 seconds.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
And now a word from a non-accredited sponsor. This episode of the In or Out Sports Debate is brought to you by Peanut Butter and Jealous. When you're feeling a little blue based on what others are doing around you, spread a little peanut butter and jealous on your sandwich to make yourself feel whole again. Yeah. But hey, that was last year. And what did he was out.
Right. And now he's in.
But he's been out for an entire year. It's not, you can't think he's going to make the same impact that he did before he was suspended.
I'm telling you, he won't have to.
What?
See how
Is he going to keep his phone down and not make bets?
Come
on, man. Welcome back to a show where we have just as many commercials as a TNT broadcast, the Sports Senseis Unleashed.
I hate you, Joe.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back to the in or out sports debate. And we also, before we go any further, have some breaking motherfathering news. And that breaking news is this. Tomorrow night, I felt like coming back for episode 96. Tomorrow night at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Brother Hugh Scott of the Wrestling Realm will be joining me for episode 96 to talk some wrestling and much more. But before that, tomorrow afternoon, make sure you check out Snowman Multimedia and SIRTOBA Media's Collide for episode 29 of the Sports Senseis Unleashed tomorrow at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Available on Snowman Multimedia Live and re-syndicated on SIRTOBA Media. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and especially to my panelists that we have here. We've gone through 2 great rounds so far. We've got 3 more to go. Let's go ahead and take this into round 3.
Round 3.
It's time to talk about a man that Darrell knows very, very well. And when it comes to his decision to move along to the New York Jets, despite the offseason additions, the New York Jets will not advance past the AFC Championship game in 2023. We'll start this off with you, Darrell. How do you feel about this one at hand with your guy departing your pastures? Are you in or out on this one?
I am, let's see. Well, looking at let's put it like this. Looking at how deep the AFC is, I am in. I am definitely in. Not gonna lie to you, I want to make sure I read the question correctly. But here's the deal. The AFC is deep, extremely deep, and the quarterbacks in the AFC. To be honest with you, almost ranking in the top 10. Maybe even a difficult task at times. I mean, the top 3 or 4, you got your Mahomes, you got Burrow, you got Allen, you got Herbert, you got upcoming Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, you got Aaron Rodgers. It is going to be very, very, very hard for the New York Jets to get to the AFC Championship game. To be honest with you, it may be even hard for them to get into the playoffs. I know that sounds crazy, but, the Jets have to get past a couple of things. And one of those things is they have to get past, that blockade of not making they're currently the longest team that not been in the playoffs since 2010. So they got to get past that stigma. They had a chance last year. They were playing well last year, and then they fell apart late. I don't expect that to happen with Aaron Rodgers, but if they do get in the playoffs, I think they're going to be a 7th seed, maybe a 6th seed. They're not winning that division, at least in my opinion. They're talented on defense. I just don't know if they can pull it off. And that's no salt. Just to throw that out there, don't look at the green and gold behind me and think that's salt. Because I love Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's not going to change. He's right there behind me he's right there behind me on that side. So, but with that saying, it's just how good Buffalo is, how good Cincinnati is, how good Kansas City is. Those 3 teams are going to be very tough to break through, with a couple teams that are really good and up and coming in Jacksonville, in the Chargers. Who knows what Denver's going to do this year? I mean, there's so much in the AFC. It's just hard. Couldn't they go? Yeah, they could definitely do it. I just don't think it's going to happen.
How about you, Kyle? Do you agree? Are you in or out on this one?
Listen, man, I'm like Prego spaghetti sauce. I am in. Listen, you could call Darrell a homer all you want to. In this one, you better not be dropping that Simpsons theme, though, because he actually has a lot of valid points. There's a long list. We can't even guarantee he gets through his own bleeding division. I mean, okay, so we're pretty sure that, listen, by the way, if you happen to have a division where the weakest team gets the guy everyone generally thinks is the best coach in the division, or excuse me, in the league, and you're the fourth best team in the division, that should tell you everything about the competition the Jets have. And of course, Darrell Owens, being a great football mind that he is, mentioned the Bills, who are allegedly trending downward. We're acting like Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill aren't a thing, that Jalen Wild somehow disappeared. And oh, by the way, what if they get Dalvin Cook too? That's still on the board, folks. But the punchline is this: he may not even get out of the division. And oh, by the way, not even all the teams that are in the Jets' way were put on the list here, including the potential Baltimore Ravens and Kenny Pickett and the Steelers. And what about what's going on in the AFC South? You think they can beat the Jags? Okay, they'll probably still beat the Titans, because I get that they got a really fancy engine for a Pinto when they acquired DeAndre Hopkins. I get that. But the line is this: at day's end, Kyle, Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson won't finish the season. We're not sure Brett Favre will finish the offseason. He's already complaining about it. Oh, yeah, there's too many dominoes at this point stacked against the Jets for me to think that they'll get off the ground and certainly fly to the AFC Championship game.
Guys, I really want to disagree with you. I really do on this one, but I have to agree. I have to go. I wanted to, but there was really no grounds that I could disagree on this one, because you got to think about everything else that both of you collectively said. You both said very similar things in your statements that basically, coincided with one another. But for me, the biggest thing is Aaron Rodgers, 39 years old, about to be 40. He's not the same type of 39 that Tom Brady was. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II, the legend. He was definitely not in that kind of status at age 39 going into 40. Does it mean he's going to go in there and completely lay an egg? No. But do we know that the rest of the New York Jets are going to be able to keep up around him? Because, yeah, they had a talented team last year. And, yes, they were driven by somebody who was chasing more Cougars than he was actually plays on the field. But at the same time, when you think about everything collectively when it comes to this New York Jets team, they made some upgrades around him. I mean, brought some pieces in from Green Bay as well that he's comfortable with in the receiving core and playing around on the offense as well. And they made some moves on the defense to help bolster them a little bit, but they're really not that much different outside of the offense of what they were last year. They've got a great running game for the most part, but what's definitely going to hinder them is their style of play going up against those other teams like Miami Dolphins, who, if Tua is healthy, big question mark if he's healthy, can stay relevant within the division if Tua stays healthy. But if he is and he faced the Jets, I like the Dolphins over the Jets in that game as well. Bills, whether they're trending downward or not, they still have had a great team for the past few years and deserve to be up there within the conversation of a team that's better on paper even at this point in the year. We are still in July, but hell, when it comes to talking about the two teams, you got to have the Bills slightly favored more than the Jets just because of what they've done over the past few years. The Jets, there's a lot of people saying they may not even get to 8 wins. That's with Aaron Rodgers, which is blasphemous considering what the team did last year without him. I think that they'll do better than that. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not going to hate on them bad enough to say they're not going to have a winning record. They might make the playoffs, but the AFC Championship, with this statement right here, says that they're not going to get to the AFC Championship further. I don't think that they're even going to get to the AFC Championship. They may win the wild card round, the first get one playoff win. By the time they get to the division, depending on who they match up against, I still don't see them getting outside of the division series when it comes to the AFC because of, like you guys said, how stacked the AFC is and the opponents. You got Sean Payton over there in Denver with Russell Wilson, and plus the additions that they made there. I like them more than the New York Jets. I like bringing in Sean Payton with Russell Wilson, a younger quarterback who can be more mobile, who isn't on ayahuasca. I like him and like all that, thinking about how all that's going for Denver rather than in New York.
I mean, of
Well,
course,
look,
Drew,
look.
you're facing more facts than Brett Favre threw interceptions in his career. Am I right, Packers fan? I mean, Darrell Owens. I mean,
Hey, come on now. Look. If the New York Packers are ready to go through the same heartbreak that the Green Bay Packers went through the last, I don't know, like 10 years of, getting, let's say they even get the 1 seed, you got to get that chip off your shoulder, Aaron, and find a way to get the win. There was a couple of years that the Packers should have been in the Super Bowl. I can count at least 2 years that they should have been in the Super Bowl, and 2015 is definitely one of them. And the other one, well, I'm not even going to talk about it because it's going to make me sad. But the New York Packers are going to have to figure something out. I mean, Lazard is a great player. Cobb is serviceable, but he'll definitely give him some comfort there. But other than that, I mean, like it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot, and that AFC is tough. So good luck to him.
The guy that's missed more time is you. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to say
he's serviceable. I mean, look, when he's healthy, keyword. I mean, like when he played last year, when he played last year, he had some good moments, but that's the thing. He won't stay on the field. And if he does, I don't even see him really playing. That receiving core is stacked. I don't even see him playing with the receiving core they have now. He may come in and just be a mentor.
Point for me.
Look. He might be a mentor, Kyle. That's all I can see.
We're defending him, and then he did my argument for me. If I knew I needed that kind of a nap, I'd have brought a pillow up in this beast. I'm just saying.
Rodgers won't win 8 games for the Jets, so we got a hater right here already saying that. I'm not going that far there, Ike, but some people are going to look at you and say that.
Would you please shut the hell up?
Now,
let me talk to you.
Ike, you need to take all of this into perspective, especially a little bit of this, who the last person I just played apparently is getting comparisons to this guy.
You should know your role and shut your mouth.
Because he's going to win more than 8 games. Come on, get out of here with that.
I hear you, Drew. I agree with you, but I can guarantee you that Matt Muehlheisen of the Huddle Up podcast is already on the same train as Ike here. I get it. I'm not there, but the haters are real, son.
Hey, all I gotta say is this.
That's terrible.
Come on, give him a little bit. Put some speck on his name. Put a little bit of speck on his name. All right, do it. Just do it a little bit. Other than that, the entire team is trash, says Ike. Now, Ike, come on now. Will you please?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Getting to this point there, Ike. We're getting very close to this point. Come on now. Oh, God, the New York Packers, really? Darrell?
I mean, let's be honest with you, Ryan. Look at them. I mean, like, they signed Amos. I didn't even think about it. On the defensive side, they signed Adrian Amos, our former safety. So, and there's at least 5 Packers on that team now. So, I mean, the New York Packers will do well, though. I mean, they got Green in there, so we're good.
What is this world coming to when Mickey says this?
What?
Why are you agreeing with Ike?
What?
Please, will you please?
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Come on now. Come on.
I don't know. Maybe Mickey sees Ike as a CI, or I don't know.
Mick is usually my comment cop. He's the comment cop policing
Not
Ike.
the, not the comment
cop. Agreeing with Ike. That's why. Come on now, guys. Come on.
Called him the comment cop. That's great.
The Finns can't protect Tua. The Bills don't have a running attack. The Pats may prevent points, but they won't score many. It's going to be a dogfight in the AFC East for sure, says Ryan McCarthy. Ryan McCarthy is a Jets fan.
It's so weird with the Finns though too, because I could have made the strong argument last year that they actually had the best offensive line and Tua got hurt the most. It's the weirdest. I've never really seen anything like that before.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been just bad timing for Tua, I think overall, but that division is going to be really, really tough. I mean, bad decision making, of course, by the Dolphins, because when he got that first concussion and they didn't give that man proper time to heal, and then he got hurt the next week, even though they were rolling, and from that point on, even though they still were kind of in the mix and they made the playoffs, look how much better they could have been. We're talking about maybe 1, maybe 2 seed. But because of, bad decision-making by the Dolphins, organization, that's not the case.
Absolutely. And Sick comes back with, the question should be whether Aaron Rodgers will be an asset or a hindrance to the Jets this coming season. Do you think he'll be an asset, Darrell, with everything you said? Because you have the most knowledge of Aaron Rodgers out of all of us because you've seen him so much with being a fan.
I'm going to say asset because here's the thing. Like, for the first time in a long time, the Jets have a legit quarterback in their disposal. Like, none of this Baker, not Baker Mayfield, none of this Darnold or, they're drafting quarterbacks every other year. You got
what about Joe Pennington?
Hey, I like Chad Pennington though. I don't want to trash Chad Pennington too much, but it's the first time in a long time that they've got a true, legit, Hall of Fame quarterback. He's going to be an asset, and if you so far so good, it doesn't seem like he's going to be a hindrance. Now we can't say how things go if the things start rocky during the season. Will he continue this? I love to be in New York. I love to be in New York. Will he continue that, or will he go back to where he was acting before he left Green Bay? That's the thing. Right now, he's an asset. We'll see if he becomes a hindrance later.
I think he'll be an asset because he's going to have a positive energy for the most part because there's a lot of connections outside of the game of football that he can make while being in New York because we've seen him do Jeopardy and some other things outside of the game as well. Being in that area, he can meet a lot more connections, but playing well while you're with that team is going to help those connections go up because if you got people out there drinking the haterade on your style of play, they're not going to be giving you most post-career opportunities in New York, per se. So
that's a great point, Drew, because like a Jeopardy contestant, if he is in the negative, he won't make Final Jeopardy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a good one.
The audience has been getting drunk on haterade as we speak. They must be having a case of the Mondays.
It's Monday, man. Look, it's Monday. That's all you can say.
Something like that.
Why do you think I like to bring the show out on Monday? Sometimes it can brighten people's nasty days they're having out here in the street. So, hey, if you put respect on Chad Pennington's name, if his arm didn't turn into a noodle, I think he would have won a Super Bowl.
Hey, Chad had some good moments in New York, man. I can't take anything away from Chad Pennington. He was tough out there.
Miami, I'm just saying.
It was he had so many passing attempts per game, like early on in his career. That's why his arm turned into a noodle. Absolutely. Well, guys, keep those comments coming as we've gone through round 3. We got 2 more rounds to go, and most importantly, we have round 4 to get to, where we have the By the Numbers segment to talk about this episode's number in 95. Let's see what we got.
Round 4.
And here with round 4, Bubba Smith is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 95 in all of sports history. Kyle Nash, we'll start this one off there with you, brother. How do you feel about this one? Are you in or are you out on this one?
Well, it's time for the fat kid in dodgeball to show up. I am out. Listen, I get it. When you can milk money the way you can doing a set of movies that made six films. No, I'm sorry. Was it 7? I lose count. There's so many Police Academy films. And who could forget Lieutenant Hightower doing his thing, Bubba Smith carrying that the way he did. It was very special the way he would lift up cars and various things. Anyways, an honorable mention for sure, not the correct answer. And I know that somebody here's probably going to come out with Richard Dent. So I'm going to go with the alternative route because defensive tackles often get just disrespected, just in general. So disrespected that people apologize after giving them props. Check it out on my show this past week. With
Hey, come on now, Kyle.
It was a fun time on the Student of the Game when he was on with Raphael Haynes, of course. Check that out if you haven't yet for the NFC North preview. But at the end of the day, bing! I'm going to go, bing, thank you, for tackle Kyle Williams of the Buffalo Bills. Now, but Kyle, why aren't you saying Richard Dent? You're a Niners fan. A, somebody else will. It's okay. B, as a defensive tackle, he only had 70 fewer tackles than Richard Dent. But he doesn't have as many championships. Who would? You're playing in Buffalo. So I say all that to say this. The amount of tackles for loss, 106 in his career in the NFL. Back in the days where I might add that the running game was still a lot more prominent the way it was, this guy was an essential part of a tough Buffalo Bills team that unfortunately couldn't keep a quarterback healthy on the field when he was worth a darn. Trust me, there's plenty of history there. I don't mean to tell you to Google it, but Google it because it's depressing for me to do so. I'm a healthcare professional in IT out on the outside. I don't like hearing about all these injuries at a position. But yeah, Kyle Williams is who I have, but I, of course, will accept votes for Richard Dent. I assume those are coming. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay. I like the passion. I like the energy. I like the pick.
If Drew
Darrell,
says the energy, that means
how do you feel about this, Darrell? Do you agree with Kyle? Are you out, but for the same person or for a different person, or do you agree that Hightower's great? Pick for number 95.
I do agree that Hightower is great, but I'm out that he is the greatest 95 of all time. See, it's funny, Kyle, because I was thinking the same thing. I said somebody's gonna pick Richard Dent, so I didn't want to pick Richard Dent, but I'm just gonna give love to a 95 that I really like, and he meant a lot to me growing up because, when I fell in love with football, I feel like he was just a very critical, just a monster on the defensive side, and that's Greg Lloyd from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like Greg Lloyd was an absolute monster for the Pittsburgh Steelers. With him and Kevin Green together, I just think that what they did in Pittsburgh in the 90s, just a great linebacker out of Pittsburgh. And for me, I just remember him seeing him at the Pro Bowls and seeing all the great things he did at the Pro Bowl. And it was just, when you thought about Pittsburgh defense, he's one of those guys that you immediately think about and how great he was. And I know that Kevin Green is in the Hall of Fame, and I know it might be a stretch for Greg Lloyd to get in there, but I'm going to go number 95, Greg Lloyd from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like Greg Lloyd. He was one of my favorites growing up.
You guys, we had great minds as far as trying not to pick Richard Dent because Darrell took my pick. But
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. It's okay. But I'll shift gears into the I disagree with the statement as well. No, that's why I said a great pick because, I just had a feeling that, Richard Dent was going to get picked. But the two teams that he was on between the Bears and the 49ers, the two teams would have won the Super Bowl without him. Sorry. Like Richard Dent, you were great, but those teams were greater than you individually in your impact. So they were going to win that Super Bowl regardless, in my opinion. I'm sorry. That's just the way I look at it when I break it down. That's why I did not pick Richard Dent. Kyle Williams is another great pick that Kyle Nash. I don't know if it was because of the name Kyle or just the fact of what his stats were, but he definitely had a great pick there for 95 as well. William Fuller as well is someone that I kind of had up there in the list as far as someone who wore 95 back in the day in the 80s and was a great impact in the game of football. But I picked Greg Lloyd because when you compare him and Kyle Williams, the biggest thing that separates the two, Kyle Williams had 6 Pro Bowls and Greg Lloyd had 5. But when you think about what Greg Lloyd's impact, he was on the first team All-Pro 3 times between 93 and 95. And part of that great Steelers defense of what Darrell was just saying as well. That's why I had to piggyback on what he just said. But the biggest thing that I have to put that would probably propel me to say that he was over Kyle Williams in the fact of he's part of the Pittsburgh Steelers all-time team. He's also part of the Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Honor, and he's also part of the Pittsburgh Pro Football Hall of Fame. Kyle Williams is not inaugurated into any of that. Now, not saying to take away from anything that he did because he was a great player during his time in the game of football. But when I had to think about different accolades to kind of propel me to make a decision on who's a little bit better than who, that's why I picked Greg Lloyd in this case. That's why I said Darrell had a great pick with his pick at 95.
Listen, as much as team accomplishment in that debate has been had by you and me, you applied it very well here. And Greg Lloyd is part of a long history of linebacker greatness that's been the Steelers franchise from, going back to Jack Lambert and possibly before all the way up to now to TJ Watt and so many others in there, James Harrison and on and on. I mean, I'm mentioning a few names. I didn't even touch Kevin Green, like you mentioned earlier too. There's so many excellent linebackers that you're going to see leave someone off if you try to recall them. And Greg Lloyd is part of that tradition, man. I'm not going to front on that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And listen, I'm just going to tap the sign again because somebody has to care about the trenches on this show. I'm just saying.
Hey, Kevin Green was definitely a great impact. He didn't get a Super Bowl during his playing career, but he got one as a coach for the Packers with Darrell's team. So he did at least get that. I'm glad he got that championship before he went away from this earth, because his contributions to the game of football were definitely big for not only the players around him while he was on the field, but the players around him while he was a coach as well.
Agreed, 100%.
So let's see what we got. A couple comments about this one right here. We see Sick Dicky says, I wonder if Kevin Green will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for his time in WCW. That's a good question.
It's a really good
wrestling
question.
fans. We got that up. How do you feel, Darrell? Do you think that he will, or do you think that the football contributions are good enough for him to just have that set aside alone?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I couldn't see, look, the way the WWE picks their, celebrity Hall of Fame wing is a toss-up from time to time. But a guy who competed, and I could definitely see him being in there. I mean, it's like I said, the WWE wing in the Hall of Fame it's a toss-up. But wouldn't it be nice to honor the guy, on the WWE front? I could see that. So I would say it may be a long shot because it was a while ago. Nobody hasn't really talked about it in a long time, but you never know. But I would say it would be nice. I could definitely see him getting into there. Definitely. See him.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome too, as well, to see him get in there just for the celebrity. You got a former president in there who was elected before he was in there, and he didn't have as much of a contribution to like the professional wrestling as Kevin Green did. Like, yeah, we had that hair versus hair match where they had the two wrestlers representing him and Vinnie Mac, and Vinnie Mac's head got shaved. But that still wasn't as impactful as the short time that Kevin Green and some other football players in the Carolina area were to WCW back in the 90s. During the Attitude Era, that were like pre-Attitude Era, like right around in there was like 97, right around the boom when he was in there, 96, 97. So NWO was big, WCW was growing, and Kevin Green was a part of that big old steamroller coming right on through because WCW was huge for, 83 weeks. That's the name of the podcast that they've got for what's his name, Eric Bischoff. So 83 weeks. Yeah, they were big. He was part of that for a small little fraction of that, but still played a part in it.
Big
Guys,
part.
keep those comments coming, as we can definitely see what we've got coming into the final round. We got one more commercial break to get into. We'll see you guys back here in 115 seconds.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
And now a word from a non-accredited sponsor. This episode of the In or Out Sports Debate is brought to you by Peanut Butter and Jealous. When you're feeling a little blue based on what others are doing around you, spread a little peanut butter and jealous on your sandwich to make yourself feel whole again. Yeah. But hey, that was last year. And what did he was out.
Right. And now he's in.
But he's been out for an entire year. It's not, you can't think he's going to make the same impact that he did before he was suspended.
I'm telling you, he won't have to.
See how I'm going to keep his phone down and not make bets?
Come on, man.
Welcome back to a show where we have just as many commercials as a TNT broadcast, the Sports Sensations Unleashed.
I hate you, Drew.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the In or Out Sports Debate. We are again here for episode 95, and we've got one final round left in store for this one. Fellas, are y'all ready to take this into the final round of the show? It's time for five.
Final round.
Ooh, and with with this one right here. The biggest X factor for the Washington Commanders during the 2023 NFL season will be Eric Bieniemy. Let's start this off with a man who knows the Washington Commanders very, very well in his coverage that he's had over the last half decade. Darrell, how do you feel about this one? Do you agree with the statement at hand? Are you in or are you out on this one?
Sorry, I got a little excited. I am in. I got a little excited, Drew. I got a little excited. But I will say this. I'm in on this because the vibe around camp right now, or camp with OTAs and all that stuff, and just getting a chance to be able to see Eric Bieniemy out there leading the way, leading the team, and just a good vibe overall from what I saw from him on the field. There was a one segment that happened where the offense was just messing up. He took everybody off the field. No, not just you. Everybody has to go. And he's setting a standard around there offensively that I don't think we saw with Scott Turner. He was more laid back. Didn't hear that much from him. EB has been talking out there, barking out there, and letting those players know he's going to be a big piece, big X factor for this team, because I think for them, their problem, if you go back the last couple of years and say, what was the biggest problem with Washington? And I know you'll agree with me, Drew. You've seen this team drive down the field. I mean, we talking about making like 60, 70, 80-yard drives. And what will come of it? A field goal, maybe a missed field goal. That thing was 50-50. And it's like when they got into the red zone, you just didn't know, like I felt like Scott Turner didn't know what to call. And it just was like, my goodness, they got all the way down here. Can they make it happen? And the answer half of the time was no. But I think with EB, if they really truly grasp everything that he's got going on, and Sam Howell can play solid. I'm not asking for him to be a Pro Bowler. I know you might be asking him to be a Pro Bowler, but at least a solid piece on that team, and just listen from the direction from EB. I really do think he is going to be the X factor of this team. They've got some really good pieces offensively. They are really good defensively. They got 2 weak spots. The offensive line, that's something that's got to get stronger. And then on the defensive side, the linebacker core. Everything else in that team has depth, and they are in a really good spot.
I like it. I definitely like that take. How do you feel, Kyle? Do you agree with him on this one? Are you in or are you out on this one?
Much like EA Sports, I'm in the game.
Well played.
The presence of Eric Bieniemy makes me taking the quarterback situation with Sam going from how else to how well can he do under proper tutelage. And I love how Darrell Owens broke it down better than I can even try to, as he's paid attention in camp to these Washington Red Tails. Sorry, Commanders.
Red Wolves.
How is it the person of color on this panel is battling me on tributing the Tuskegee Airmen? How does that work? Anyways, you set me up, Dio. That's on you. Anyway,
yep.
I say all that to say this. At least it wasn't Drew that made it a political show this time with his, brawn phobia. But the place I'm trying to get to is I'm not even talking about just within this season. The X factor for the Commanders could be much greater for the franchise itself, because when they do take the hint that I'm trying to bring to Destiny, and by they I mean the new ownership group, with what's going on there, and oh, by the way, Magic Johnson being involved, that's an important thing too. Write that down, boys and girls. I think the opportunity for Eric Bieniemy to take his first head coaching gig is in the wings. It just hasn't happened yet. How am I so sure? Well, here's what I do know. The guy that said the problem with the team was quarterback, referring to Carson Wentz, and then puts the mother father back in the game, and then also doesn't know how many games he needs to win to get into the playoffs.
Oh, boy.
Not really a long list of qualifications you need to supplant at this point. And it's not that I have anything against Riverboat Ron, the person, but let's be real. In my opinion, I've said for a long time, he was riding on the cape of Superman Cam back in Carolina then. But that's here nor there. Eric Bieniemy is doing what he's doing in that camp to establish himself as a leading presence, not just somebody who has the potential to lift this offense to a special place. And oh, by the way, lifted an offense to a special place when Tyreek Hill was supposed to ruin the Chiefs when he wasn't there. Oh, yeah, I got quiet after I said that. Anyway, I'm in a place where Eric Bieniemy has the opportunity to make this lift up, because the thing we didn't talk about here, guys, is the embarrassment of riches that is that Commander defensive front.
There it is.
So, can you howl or something? Oh, that's wolves. I see what you're that. Okay, that's the thing. Eric Bieniemy is definitely an X factor here, and I define X factor as not somebody who's going to guaranteed to be good. I mean, success or failure goes through him. Sam Howell wasn't even the best quarterback in his conference. I've said that on this in many shows. I thought he was overhyped constantly, just as the ACC as a conference has been before before a bunch of teams left. The American Athletic Conference was better than the ACC. Just nobody wants to talk about it. But Eric Bieniemy has enough to take Sam Howell to the next level, and they've got a pretty good team surrounding him as well. Would like to see a bit better O-line, but hey, we can't all keep Trent Williams on our roster forever. I get it.
Wow. Kyle Nash always comes with the fire and has not let me down through all 5 rounds. And there's been several moments where both of you guys have been killing it, and I really want to combat you, but you bring so many great, compelling arguments to the table that I can't. I got to go in with this one. All right.
Let me talk to
you. When you put it all in perspective, both of them have great points with this as well, and Darrell especially, which brings me back to a point that I was making all throughout last summer with this show, in several points that I made, when they invested so much money into Carson Wentz last offseason, when you should have been investing in the pieces around the quarterback. You needed somebody that could be smart with the ball, and if he had the right protection around him that would give him just a few more seconds to make the decisions. I really liked what Taylor Heinicke was doing, and I feel like if they get it right in Atlanta, where he is there to kind of help out Desmond Ridder or whatnot, I feel like that in what that impact that he's going to make there, he's going to showcase what he should have had the ability to do in Washington. Because had they invested in the pieces around him on the offensive line or whatnot, you wouldn't even need to bring in Sam Howell. And even though Kyle Nash throws so much shade at Sam Howell, I believe in him a little bit more. And the person who made me believe in Sam Howell was none other than my man, Tyrone Montgomery Jr., the Legacy Maker Sports Network, who at one point, you can look back on it. I've got archival footage. I've done over 200 productions here on the interwebs. You can look. I was throwing just a little bit of shade at Sam Howell at one point. Not as much as Kyle Nash, but a little bit of shade. Just a little bit. I was throwing a little bit. Since then, since talking with Tyrone Montgomery Jr. on episodes 12 and 15 of this show, that like Kyle Nash likes to do, you think about that right there of what Ty said. And I can't remember which one it was, either 12 or 15. Ty sold me on the fact of Sam Howell and what he was able to do, even though the ACC and what Kyle Nash will tell you is weak. My bad. But it might have some weak points to it. But not everybody's perfect out here in these streets. Certain teams and certain functionalities make mistakes here and there or exposed for their flaws. Nobody's perfect, so of course he's going to have a flaw or two. And I believe it's Sam Howell. I believe in his beard too, because when you can grow a good beard out here in the streets, you know what's up. And I have to give a shout out to him. He knows what's up when it comes to beard control. So do I. So I give him the leg up over anybody else that they have on that roster right now. And even though there are some weak points within that offensive line, that if you would have invested that $10 or $11 million into that last offseason instead of Carson Wentz, we wouldn't even be talking about that right now. But Darrell brought up a great point with that. And you have to bring it up because no matter who you have in there at the QB1 spot, there's always that big question of the protection around you. You can be great, and you can have even Jimmy Garoppolo or Brock Purdy type moments with the 49ers. But those moments wouldn't even be possible if it wasn't for the protection that he had around him. And one of our ex-players, known as Trent Williams, that, we had a bad contract situation, and he didn't leave in the best way. When you think about the management that was in place while his tenure was in Washington, anybody would want to get out of there, especially with the health issue that he had, and they didn't address it the right way, because Darrell and I were talking about that a few years ago when he was still on the team. Mm-hmm. So when you think about everything, this show right here, the In or Out Sports Debate, has been around for now 3 years this month, started in July of 2020. And one of the first shows that we had, we were talking about this. Rob and I were talking about this exact situation about the Trent Williams, the health issue, and not getting out of Washington properly. Those questions won't be as much into the question now that the sale looks like it's going to be taking place on July 20th. I just wrote an article about it that's on MBS Media. You can check it out. Detailing all of that. Exactly. Thank you, Kyle. Detailing my points and stuff within how I feel about where that's going to go. And if everything goes, they get the majority vote and everything works out in their favor where it looks like it's projected to happen, then the whole management process of how this team is structurally sound will improve going forward. And I believe in that. Someone who's been covering them since they were the slur and someone who's been watching them since they were the slur is what Cole Johnson likes to say. Hey, I got to refer to them in the best way possible because we already know what's from here to here on my arm. The slur, my bad. I can't help it. But hey, I am a fan. I was born into baby clothes for it. I'm also one part Native American as well. Look up my DNA. You can question it however you want, but it's there. That's why I have great flowing locks and a great beard. Hey, don't hate, but it's there, so I can do whatever I want. It's just like that, and it's how it is, and I just called it. Back on track as we're going off the rails a little bit. When it comes to this team, when it comes to the slur, when it comes to the previous history within this storied franchise, 3 Super Bowls. Far from that. You are far from what you did 30 years ago. But with the right moves in place starting this offseason, with management, who runs your team, and what you can do going forward to get yourself back to that level, it all starts with who's at the top of the chain running your organization. It all starts with the decisions that are made on the field within your talent. And Ron Rivera is definitely on the hot seat. Eric Bieniemy is the X factor of this whole situation because when you think about what he's done with Kansas City, he wasn't the head coach, but he was someone who had a great big pull within that team. You can see it on the quarterback series on Netflix. A shout out to that. When you have Patrick Mahomes in the relationship that he and Bieniemy had leading into that second Super Bowl as well. You need that type of relationship with whoever your QB1 is. Not only that, but the other 52 players on that roster who are on the field. So if Eric Bieniemy can do that and have that great relationship with 2 Super Bowl winning teams, I'm not saying that he's going to propel them to Super Bowl stature, but at least kind of close to where this team was at when Joe Gibbs was there for the second term around, because had Joe Gibbs been younger, 5 years younger than he was when he came back, and had a little bit more energy, and the Sean Taylor situation didn't happen, we could have seen that situation continue to build and build and build because that team was getting better each year, it appeared like. And we could potentially have something like that happening again here in Washington if you stay patient and the right moves are made throughout that process.
Now, I want to say this. I got a theory on Ron Rivera. So watching him at camp, right? Ron Rivera, there's not a knock on him. He has done nothing. It's not a knock on him. When camp started, he said, look, I'm letting everybody else take control. This is the most laid back I've ever seen Ron Rivera ever at a camp, at the camps that I've been to. He's real laid back, not doing anything. He's letting EB like control everything on the offensive front. The defense has been all jack, but it's been all EB. I think he's really trying to show what EB could do. But here's my theory. I think what's going to happen is, Rivera will coach this season. And I think next year he's going to retire and move up to the front office. And I think EB's taking over. I think that is the reason why. That is the reason why you see EB out there taking more control of the team. And I think it's also it's a smart move for them because you got to think about it. One thing that Ron Rivera gets love for throughout all of this is how he handled the situation for the last 3 years. Even though he's had his slash moment, he's had the cancer, he's kicked through that, all that stuff. He's been able to persevere. And I think he was the one that came up with the name. And I really do feel like he's going to make a move to the front office, and that's where you'll say EB come in. I'm just throwing it out there now, just in case it decides to happen next year. Just in case it decides to happen.
I think the only thing that you could have said at the end of that was this:
I am the game, and I am that damn good.
Because you crushed it, brother. I gotta give you a shot. I love that take.
I mean,
like
he
it.
would have been that damn good if he wasn't giving him props for being involved in the commie's name. Listen, but here's where I'm going to tell you. Here's where I'm going to tell you where peace against rivals can exist. As a 49er fan, constantly making Darrell's Packers so embarrassed in the playoffs that they bothered to.
It's unnecessary.
Go up to him.
But
the reason why I lead with that unnecessariness is this too is a theory I've dropped on my show. I'm 100% in line with you on that, Darrell. I think that's going to happen exactly, and I think they're going to get a proper name that's not the Commanders, whether it is a pun off of Howell's name or a true opportunity to turn the slur on its head. There you go.
Hey, you I like the wordplay, Kyle Nash. I like the wordplay, but take it easy on my man and his Packers, all right? Because he's been through enough this offseason. He's been through enough.
No.
Come on, man. Whatever, man. It's all good.
You should see Raphael Haynes on his show. That'll tell you some.
It's the love era, man. I moved on. It's the love era, man. Look.
Hey, shout out to Mr. Controversy. I did reach out to him over the weekend, tried to get him on for next week, but he unfortunately will not be able to make it next Monday night because of some obligations. So if you're watching this, Mr. Controversy, hope I can get you on here soon as we are approaching 100 episodes there, my man. So, and Ike says those commercials are fire. Well, thanks, Ike, for coming back around with something that actually makes sense. Thank you very much. And he says, make more. Well, I will try. It's like you see at the bottom right-hand corner where the struggle is real to be awesome. It is a struggle because there's only so much time in a day. And LeBron is the GOAT. You know what, man? The Wonder Bread Choir is laughing at you. Shout out to Cole Johnson for dubbing them the Wonder Bread Choir. I had to because
the one lady in the brown was laughing way too hard. I mean, all shoulder motion and everything. I think it's the same. Okay, but that's a lot like that, Cole. I like that, Cole.
She practiced that one for a minute. She definitely did. Biggest X factor is Dan Snyder.
Not anymore.
If he doesn't sell, the team will be trash.
You know, liar.
He's gonna sell, dude. We've been through enough.
Yeah, he's not wrong, but at this point, it's a done deal, right? Like this is a thing that's happened. I mean, check it out on TBS Media as Drew writes about it. Bing.
And Mick, I think Mick spoke too soon. Says I have to say thank you to Ike for standing in your lane tonight. Well, when you see comments like this that LeBron is the GOAT, talking about Dan Snyder being the X factor, I think he fell out of his lane. He's off the rails again.
Hey, somebody cued Cole Johnson Ron sexual music. I love it.
Is that why you're self-proclaimed best-looking beard man in sports podcasting? Well, I wouldn't say I'm the self-proclaimed. I have an okay one. I probably have the longest hair I wouldn't say in broadcast right now, being around 15 inches. I'm looking forward to cutting this. Washington Commanders, if you're watching this show, because this link was in there, I'm not cutting this hair till you let me in. So like Bray Wyatt says, let me in. Let me in. Let me cut this hair, please. It's hot out here in these streets.
Where's the Bray Wyatt? Let me in.
I gotta find it.
You gotta find it.
Kyle, will you please stay? When was Kyle out of his lane?
I'll have to ask. I mean, listen. The comment comp is a woo. I'm like, what? Where did I change lanes? I don't understand.
I don't get it because you said it 3 minutes ago. I don't remember you being out of your lane in 3 minutes, past 3 minutes. Ike is a closeted bronze sexual. I would definitely agree with that.
Closeted. That dude's definitely out.
He is letting it flow. His long flocks are flowing out here, Ike. If you got him, you're just flowing.
Out. That's right.
So, and no, King James is the GOAT. Mickey says, "What is going on?"
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Of you are out here saying this stuff, and your response to me doing this stuff is
Yeah.
Where's Snowman?
Exactly. And we may be approaching this age. Kyle is already there, but we're about to be like this on the other side of the mic.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Darrell and I are approaching it. We're not that far off, but We're gonna come at you like that if you keep saying
Creepy.
this stuff like King James is the GOAT, okay? And you may be on the other side saying this.
I think I got my swagger back.
Got my swagger back.
But
One small amendment. One has to have lost the swagger to get it back, sir.
Damn!
But when you confront someone like Ike, not you, Mick, but when you confront someone like Ike, I feel like at the end of the day, he's going to be like this person that drove away.
You're tripping about the whole situation. Let me get my husband on the line.
Okay.
Big 21, big 25.
Big 25. I got one guy.
Because at the end of the day, when you confront a bronzexual, all they're going to do is run away because of this.
You can't handle the truth.
I was over there looking for. I'm like, I was invested. I'm like, oh, is he gonna catch him? I'm like,
See, I got it. You got to be careful with the military transition too. When it comes to Braun fanhood, it's don't ask, don't tell. Drew, be careful.
And I think just everybody's like this.
Ain't nobody care. Who cares? Ain't nobody care.
Because at the end of the day, we need you to do this.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
To all these people out here who are not making sense with what they're saying when it comes to things about King James being the GOAT. Sorry, Mick, but I had to. English, please. Who told this lie? Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson says. And first of all, I cannot drive a car. Okay, Mick, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So I'm sorry, Mick, that you cannot drive a car. If you need a ride, let someone know. We can drive for you or whatnot. We're just playing out here in these streets, Mick. It's okay.
Suddenly our comment cop got a whole less intimidating.
Yeah, we'll have to discuss about policing options here on the next episode. But guys, thank you so much for staying engaged with the comments throughout. We got small little sliver left for you. But before we get to that final word, we have to acknowledge the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
It's that time for the In-Or-Out Sports Debate Vault of Fame to be acknowledged. And first of all, we have to acknowledge this man's moving on up the chain right here. Darrell Owens is now a 6-time Vault of Fame inductee for episode 95. Moving on up to the east side is Darrell Owens here for In-Or-Out Sports Debates episode 95. And moving on up as well is Kyle Nash, who's now a 7-time Vault of Fame inductee for episode 95. You can check out this newly updated leaderboard right here, as we have Joey Raymond top of 17, Rob Johnson with 14, Kyle Nash in third with 7, Darrell Owens now moving on up to fourth with 6, and Corey Mann rounding out the top 5 with 5 appearances apiece. Guys, you can check out these episodes on SIRTOBA Media. The struggle is real to be awesome. The first 90 episodes syndicated on Legacy Maker Sports Network. And to find the SIRTOBA Media, you can find here on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as the latest at sirtoba.com. Let them have them, Darrell.
Hey, y'all already know what time it is. Stop playing games. All right? Oh, stop playing games. $ D Willie 87. Go out here and smack it up. Give my man some Willie Bucks. I don't know why we playing around. Toss the man some Willie Bucks, and we all right. Give my man his Willie Bucks. I do not understand. You see how stoic, how pristine, how crisp that Drew Willingham looks on this $10 bill. Go out there, ladies and gentlemen, and you give this man some Willie Bucks. Hit him up on the Cash App, baby. It's D Willie time. Let's go.
We are again here for episode 95 of the In-Or-Out Sports Debate. And we got one final part to get to, and that is, as always, the final word out here in these streets. Let's go ahead and see what we got in store for that. It's now time for the final word, where out of everything we've discussed in this episode for all 5 rounds, anything in sports or life in general that you want to get off of your mind, off your chest here for this final word. We'll start with you, Kyle Nash. What do you got to say here for this final word there, sir?
See, the thing is this. You can play around all you want to. Just give the man his Willie bucks. That's my whole thing, bro.
Hand him up smooth, baby. Hand him up smooth. Look at that.
Here's the thing that I got to bring up, of course, that happened in recent events, because I haven't had a chance to sound off on it yet on the Student of the Game podcast. Bing! But I will say this. DeAndre Hopkins getting signed does make my soul happy. The fact that it wasn't with the Kansas City Chiefs makes my mind more intellectually stimulated, because if D-Hop was getting passes from Patrick LaVon Mahomes II, even if you only played 7 regular season games, I can pretty much start going over to Jones Hewitt or whatever the name of the firm is to start etching the rings for the Chiefs at that point with that offense. However, here's where I live. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have witnessed here is the importance of experience. And I know the world we're living in, there's a lot of new quarterbacks. Just look in the AFC South. You're looking at, what is it? 3 rookie quarterbacks fighting for starting spots. Now I get it. Ryan Tannehill will probably start in light of the fact that DeAndre Hopkins has come into the fold as he has, but don't be surprised if things go south quickly and they go to Will Levis, somebody with a bit bigger arm and a bit less propensity for throwing interceptions. But DeAndre Hopkins, to me, seems kind of like a fancy engine. You don't get the engine of a stealth fighter and then put that beast into a B-52 bomber. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you here, okay? At the end of the day, Julio Jones was the thing that went wrong. Delaney Walker ended his career there, and they had some success. I know Titans fans are talking Super Bowl, and I will grant you they have the defense that DeAndre Hopkins finds to be a prerequisite, but there's no guarantee you even get out of the South. I will grant you. You have guaranteed now that the Jacksonville Jaguars won't sweep you. What else have you actually done?
I like it. I definitely like that take. Thank you very much, Kyle Nash, for your contributions throughout the show. You crushed it. How do you feel, Darrell, when it comes to everything we've discussed in the show, or just everything in sports for this time for the final word?
Man. Everything is everything. And look, I want to first of all shout out to you, Drew. Very proud of you, brother. I want to get it out the way right out the bat. Proud of you. Proud of the work. You're looking good, bro. You're looking trim. And I'm gonna have to go hit the gym tonight after looking at how good you look, brother. That's all I'm saying about that. Keep doing your thing, man. I'm super duper proud of you. Now,
hey, my A1C's down too. You better hit that gym.
Look, my A1C is still in a little trouble spot, but we're working on that. Now, with that being said, I want to just throw this out there for Packers fans. Just know that you don't go into this season thinking Super Bowl. Don't go into this season thinking that you're going to win the division. I said this on Kyle's show the other day. You kind of just want to take your time and embrace, what you're getting here. Don't have high expectations for Jordan Love right off the bat. What I do like, what I've seen so far, is that they have done a really good job of his teammates have done a really good job of boosting his head to an extent, or being on his side. And I feel like giving him that confidence heading into the season, which I think is a very critical part. But I think if you're Green Bay, don't go out here and expect him to have an Aaron Rodgers first season and all that stuff. It'd be great. We want that, as Packers fans. But give Jordan Love a time to grow. If he's allowed to have one season of trying to get it together, unless it's just an absolute tragedy, but just give him a chance to kind of get his feet wet, get things going. There's a lot of talent there. The question is, can he put it all together? And that's something I want to see. And Packers fans, just take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. And just try to enjoy the season.
This is definitely a great take there. And thank you for your well wishes. The struggle has been real to be awesome, but we definitely know where the stories have gone throughout with that. And with my final word, I want to shift a little bit into what Darrell just said, as far as, well, 2 things, actually. First of all, piggyback off his Jordan Love statement for the Packers, but kind of use that same energy to talk about the Commanders. Sam Howell had 1 game last year. Didn't have much time on the field to really prove his worth, and especially with the different offensive scheme that was back there then. He now has a different offense playbook to go by, has a different person that's leading the charge, as Darrell said, with how things are just different there at training camp. It's going to be interesting to see how that all translates and correlates into this 2023 season. So I've got some high hopes for Sam Howell, and I hope he does well. He may not be the answer, but I feel like we have the answer within our management of the Commanders situation from what we've seen for quite some time. It's been a dumpster fire ran by dumpster Pelicans. Now it's in a different situation from what we got here of area. But now more into a serious discussion that, I've discussed a little bit throughout the return episodes. This is the 5th week the show's back on, the 5th episode since the changes that were made based on everything that's transpired. Yesterday, I celebrated 90 days of health recovery, everything that I've gone through with the health scares and everything. And the biggest thing that I can't praise enough is self-awareness and what you're putting into your body. We have like an average 21 meals a week because we have 7 days a week. And if you're eating out fast food 15 to 19 times within those 21 meals, which I was accustomed to, and eating so much sodium and soda and caffeine to get by. I was just telling Darrell and Kyle about this thing that I have that keeps your water cold or whatever, like 40 ounces of water or whatnot for like 24 hours, or like hot stuff for 12 or whatnot. Probably one of the greatest investments of having water and staying hydrated, because during that time frame, severely hydrated, I was doing so much within a short period of being off. I'd work 4 long days, and in those 3 days off, I was powering a blank ton of episodes for the network that I was previous with Darrell and stuff, and cranking a bunch of episodes to where some of it didn't even make sense to where the amount of content that I was putting out, and pushing myself to the limit. And it's okay to push yourself to the limit, but not exceed that limit. Okay. You got to know where the balance is. And that's something that I wasn't always the greatest at. So dropping now 44 pounds is around the area that I'm at now with what I just went to the gym earlier and saw. So dropping 44 pounds, eating right, staying hydrated, and not working myself too much. At 36, I was trying to prepare at that time to play baseball again instead of just focusing more on coaching. And then once I kind of shifted the gears into coaching, the team is done a lot better, and things have been a lot better in that course or whatnot throughout this year. So with my final word, I basically just want to say thank you to everyone, like those of you that were out there being supportive of me as a content creator, but as a human being, because like to those of you, Kyle was a big one, and some others that were reaching out to me. Like, I had so much on my mind. I was scared. I almost didn't come back, even with some opportunities, whether they were there or not. I almost just said to hell with this, like, because I put myself through so much stress. It wasn't worth it, like in certain aspects. But then when you think about like the excitement that you get, like even like Darrell and Kyle can tell you about, just like, not just me, but like the people that are a part of it, like how hyped they get for this show, just because, how much work goes into the prep. They know it because they've been on the other side and seen it. But I not only get hype about the work and the stuff that we're doing, but just being here with the people that I'm here with, doing the stuff that we do, having the conversations that we have, meeting new people. Because as you see throughout that Vault of Fame, there are so many people in that Vault of Fame. There's so many different people. We got people like these two here that have been here multiple times, and they're enjoying several different numbers here as well. But then we got the ones who've only been here a couple times, maybe 1 or 2 times, and those experiences meeting them and them meeting me, we may not have had they not come onto this show, and them being receptive to coming here, me opening the door to that, and just having a great time with great people out here in these streets. So with my final word, of course, I had to give a little bit of love to the Commanders or whatnot, what they can do with Sam Howell. But I also wanted to acknowledge not only what I acknowledged earlier in the episode with this is now 3 years of this show that started. I think it was just the other day that I had the 3 years of that. Plus everything that's happened to me within the past year has been a lot that I'm still glad to be here and talking about. But most importantly is a celebration with you guys that we now have almost done this 100 times. So
hey,
thank you all for being out there who still come back and watch this show each and every week, each and every time, and have the comments, and you're putting in your 2 cents throughout these, because if it wasn't for you guys, if it wasn't for the compassion that comes from you guys, I would not be back here right now. So thank you very much. That's what I have for my final word. I know it was a little bit extra than what I normally do.
It's all good, brother.
But with everything that we had in the roadmap for it, the 2 people like yourselves that we have here, and the type of energy that we put within this episode, this was definitely one of the great ones for 95, and I'm glad we can make this happen on our way to 100.
Road to 100. Let's go roll.
Guys, that is it for episode 95 of the In or Out Sports Debate. We've only got one more thing to do and look at one okay outro. But when it comes to Kyle Nash, the student of the game, and my man Darrell Owens of the Legacy Maker Sports Network, we only got one more thing to tell you, and that is to stay safe out here in these streets.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.